Hey, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Boy, you guys are chatty tonight already. Check 1, 2. Yes, good evening. Oh, thanks, Dave and Alicia. Hello. Scratch vanilla cake. Ooh, that sounds good. Kiri, hello to you. Um, no, I'm not having connection issues. It's kind of right on time, I think. Anyway, right over there where you left them. Oh, so we know where the chart and romance. Kiri, you're funny. You are funny. Thanks. um, Mother's Day, it was quiet and it was okay. I hope you did. And I hope you had a lovely day. And all of you other moms out there, too, happy Mother's Day to you. And um, so, anyway, what is it like in your area of the world? Right now, we are, let me see, I don't know what the temp is, but the rain has passed for today. We are sunny right now, and it uh, is that right? 66 degrees, but it's windy, windy. It'll go up a few more degrees, I think. I'm not sure, but tomorrow is going to be cooler. And then we like hit 80 something on Wednesday. And so it's just rain in and out, storms type of thing. Uh, Sunny, windy, and dry. Okay. Hey, Mama Bear, how are you? Highs in the 60s right now. Also expecting 80s soon. Okay. Yeah, we were a little warmer yesterday, mid to upper 70s, something like that. And yeah, it's going to be up and down, lots of rain. In fact, after last summer was super dry, and we've had a number of drier summers, uh, especially dry springs. Well, what I noticed today is that there is an area in the ceiling of my dining room that has water damage. And I'm like, I've been here over 26 years and I've never had any leakage problems like that. And all of a sudden, so don't know what the storms did. It must have been, at the very least, severe horizontal rain. Our storms have been coming at night, and just whipping around, branches down, all kinds of stuff. Lots and lots of rain. So, hey, Eli, good evening to you. Yeah, Dave, definitely. Oh no. So, well, Kiri, that's good that it didn't hit 100. I'm so glad. Very, very good. So, I've got to figure out where that's in it, and it's coming from the roof because it's right at a seam where I think it's right where they had put an addition on back in the 50s. So I'm not sure, but so I don't know what's happening. I know that the last roof job I got, which was maybe 5 years ago, was kind of I wasn't really that sure of the crew that was doing it. They were kind of, how you can sense that some crews are just kind of slapping stuff up there and kind of cutting corners and stuff like that. And I was just kind of like, kind of getting that feeling with it. But so I've never had to call in somebody to repair the inside of my house. So I just don't know. I'm like, oh no, something else to do. But yes, we've had tons of wind and rain, and we've got areas that are flooding like crazy. Everything is greening up. I mean, definitely spring is here. Absolutely is. So, oh, Michigan Daffodil. Yes, we've had lots of wind. It has been crazy windy. Absolutely. And we didn't have all that much snow this year that I had to be concerned about the roof, but I don't know, maybe it needs to be redone in that area or something. I just like, I don't know. I hope not. So, What did all of you moms out there do for Mother's Day? Um, General roofers are a rough crowd. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I suppose when you are dealing with the equipment up there and everything. So, I find that a lot here in this area of Minnesota. Uh, a high redneck crowd, and just like, that's good enough. That's what I put in my barn, so that's fine. It's like, my home is not a barn. Thank you. So, oh my goodness. Trees are starting to bud. Oh, yes. Now that the sun is out, I could see we do have some trees out there starting to bud and high pollen count too. So, making a late dinner. Okay. Eggs, homemade sauerkraut with carrots mixed in an apple. Ooh, very, very healthy there, Michigan Daffodil. It sounds wonderful. Your milking stall roof. Okay. Oh, it blew off, landed in my. Oh no. Well, I'm glad you didn't get hit in the head this time. That is good. That you got help. That is very, very good. Alrighty. So before I get started here, oh, my onions are doing really well. I don't have them right here because I already trimmed them earlier today, but they've been growing for about 8 weeks now, and I think I'm going to give them another 3 weeks, maybe inside, before I put them out, and just to get a little bit more of the bulb, a little bit stronger. I mean, they're doing well, but the winds we get here, I want to make sure that they're good and strong before I start getting them put outside and everything else. So, and they can handle light frost. Okay, well, good. Very good. You teach 4 to 6 year olds Sunday school, and then you watch. Oh, Curie, that sounds like a good day. I could start to harden them outside and get some sun for now. Okay, I will start doing that then. You bought 3 kinds of lavender. Ooh, and lemon basil. Nice. Oh. Wendy Benjamin, hello. Thank you for coming in. From Nova Scotia. Another Canuck. Oh, yes. A lot of Northerners here. And one Californian. I don't know where Julie is tonight, but of course we have some others from Minnesota. All right. So I'm going to be, I was supposed to do that this weekend, but it just kind of went upside down. My dad got pretty sick over the weekend, so he's doing better now. He's doing better, but he was just running a really high fever and coughing and all kinds of stuff. It wasn't the Rona. It wasn't that. It was just some other infection in his system. He is doing better now, but anyway, it was just kind of one of those days, one of those times there. Hey, Donna, how are you? And Patty, did I miss you? Sorry, I don't see. So Patty, Dave, I don't see Patty on here anywhere. Okay. Well, hello, Patty, if you're there. I'm going to give a garden tip first. When you're getting your soil ready and everything for planting, now for some of you it may be way too late, but to add peat moss and some perlite to your soil, and it just helps for better aeration as well as better water retention and everything. So just to kind of, not a ton of it or anything, but just to mix it up a bit and to give your soil a little bit more that your plants will end up liking. So still can't get in the garden with this wind. I know. Well, and just the rain too. I have not had my rain gauge out. I should have, because we've had so much rain. Um, yeah. Yeah, and it's, yeah, exactly, the wind. I mean, you can't plant because the seeds just all blow away, right? And I know, Eli, you've got your was it toilet paper tape? I think is what you use. Yes, which is a great idea. It is. Unfortunately, I just don't have time to be doing stuff like that. So, which is, it's really good. So, for any of you who don't know, well, Eli, I'll let you explain that there. So, because I just am trying to remember from like a couple years ago, you were telling that. So, all right. So today, we're going to talk about different things. I mean, we've talked a lot about other TV tape to tell. Yes, we've talked a lot about like jars and canners, and all the canning and all the different things like that, and dehydrating and all the different ways to be preserving your stuff from your garden, right? So well, Kiri, you've been very busy then, haven't you? Um, and so, as well as planting and seed stuff and everything. But today I want to talk about just some other different supplies that might help you out, that you might find helpful, that we don't talk about a lot, because it's for really for longer term food storage. Now, canning in jars, that's for 1 to 2 years, even up to 3 years or something. If when you preserve in a jar, you can it. Dehydrating can last 1 to 5 years or something like that. But taking things that will be a little bit longer term food storage in that way. So, but before we get there, I want to introduce a new brand of lids. If you're having a hard time finding jar lids, this is a great company. It really is. You've probably heard of it before. So 2 to 3 years ago, I was storing up a lot on the lids, regular lids and wide mouth lids to have, and for canning. And after that, it was like, I just needed more jars. So the cases of jars I got had the lids already with them. So I was just using that. Well, I'm at a point now, there is a shelf life on canning lids. And so you have to know, because otherwise the rubber in them will start to deteriorate a little bit, and you won't get a proper seal. And then you could lose your food that you're sealing up. So they say usually 2 to 3 years for lids. So I've got to start using the stuff that I've stored away, which means that I also need to replace what I'm going to be using there. So, Dave, what is it? The first in, first out, right? So whenever you are buying for storing anything, whether it's food or supplies, exactly. You need to make sure that as you're using them up, you are also replacing everything. So as I use up not all of them, but I've got a lot of canning lids. But so as I use up my lids, I'm going to need to make sure that I've got something for, 2 years down the line that's still there, and I won't find myself running short. So anyway, there's a new company called 4 Jars. Right there, 4 Jars. And I have the link below in the show notes there. These are regular lids. These are wide mouth. So you can see the difference here. They're very reasonably priced. They come in different size packs. These are 100 at a time. And so I think it was, so for 200 lids, I want to say it was maybe $35 or something, which isn't bad for 200 lids, because otherwise you normally buy 10 or 12 in a box. And yes, they are USA made. It is a USA company. I believe they're in Florida, and it's a family-owned company. The website is down there. So if one of my mods want to take get the link from the website below, you can show that there. But they come, like this box comes in little packs of 25, and you can get different amounts. There's all different packages, different things you can order in there. But this was like the most economically feasible for me for what I needed. Thank you, Dave. So anyway, it says 4 jars on them, and they're very, very good lids. The Lisa at Sutton Stays has done extensive testing on these in all different kinds of things, from vacuum sealing to pressure canning to water bath canning and everything. And she is like the canning guru anyway. So she loves these. She's highly supportive of these, and she just can't speak enough about these. She has done a ton of videos on these lids. So if you want to find out more about them, you can watch hers too. But on Saturday, when your neighbor was here to help, he grabbed a rock for him. Whatever works, right, Carrie? So yes, these are BPA free, best choice, refrigerator safe, dishwasher safe, pressure canning. It even tells you how to use them, all that kind of stuff. But all in a nice, neat little box. So I don't have like all these tons of boxes laying all over the place. And so, yeah, even their Facebook and Instagram is 4 Jars USA. So made in America. It's an American company. I'm sure there's probably some elements of them that are, have to come from outside of America. I'm not sure, but it's an American company. So support them. They're a great mom and pop place. And so now these are going to be easy to store. I'm not going to have all these boxes all over. So it's my, 200 lids. That's easily what can be more than what I put up in a summer. So I've got 1 year's supply here for myself, which is awesome. I'm so excited about that. So sometime this next year, I can always buy another set. So I'll have that for the next year out. And what I'll probably do is, in fact, I'm going to do it right now. Take my marker, and I'm going to put on here, I don't know where I put, I guess I'm going to put 2022. So that's when I know that I bought them. And so I know that by 2025, I need to be using these. And so again, thinking long-term, right? Thinking out, extending out, not just for tomorrow, not just for next month or this summer, but trying to get ahead of the game a little bit. And instead of, getting to the point where you're canning, it's like, oh man, I'm short on lids. Let me go to the store, and there aren't any. You can't find any online unless you're paying $40 a dozen, and it's like crazy. So, so just to think further out in that way, and gives you a peace of mind. There's nothing frantic about it. If they're out for a bit, you just wait and go back, in a few weeks or a month or something, and see if they're in stock again. I haven't seen anything about them being out of stock, so they seem to be doing pretty well, which is great. All right, some other things we're going to talk about today are, I'll give you one. an example here. This is a freeze-dried foods from Thrive Market. Now they come in cans. This will last because they're freeze-dried. They're vacuum sealed in here, I believe. Anyway, they have moisture absorbers in here. They're all sealed up, metal can, all sealed up. These will last 20 to 25 years on your shelf. They're, but if you open it up, everything in here will only be good for about a year because, humidity gets in here, the air, just all this stuff in there. So it'll last about a year once you open it, but it'll last on your shelf, like you said, 20 or 25 years, something like that. Now, if you were to open this up for the intention of only using a little bit and then wanting to seal everything back up to store for a longer time, whatever you would need it for, and it's like, what would you put it in? It's like you could vacuum seal it into a jar, because that, again, is not going to last real long. Maybe a couple more years or something. But the thing that is out there, now I'm sure that all of you have heard of these, but yes, they're raspberries. I love their blackberries too, are so great. But anyway, these shiny things, Mylar bags. And so this is an empty bag, just like this. It's got little notches up here. I don't know if you can see that, little notches. So what you want to do is seal it across the top so that when you go into it, then you can just take this and tear it open. I'm going to give you a little, hey, Debbie, how are you? Yes, they do make great packing food. But so I'm going to talk about Mylar bags for a little bit, and then I'll get into showing you some more sizes and different things like that, and kind of what I have done and what I use them for. Thanks, Dave. You are on top of it. Appreciate it. It's still rainy out there in Washington too. Oh my goodness. I know what you're getting is going to be ours in a couple Wednesday, I think. Thank you, Alicia. Appreciate it. So I'm going to be reading a little bit, kind of a compilation of several sites here. So there are dozens of options in regards to storing your emergency food supply. However, the most popular and effective method of storing is with a Mylar bag. So shiny. If you're not familiar with Mylar and why they're essential for food storing, I'm going to share that with you. So Mylar is actually a thin, flexible, metallized material that is also incredibly durable and strong. The pouches are made from actually several layers of laminated food-grade plastic and aluminum. Food will not react with aluminum because it is separated by a food-grade plastic lining. So it's actually lining in the plastic. Just make sure any pouches you get are really high quality and designed to store food products, because there's like Mylar emergency blankets. The NASA uses Mylar for a lot of stuff. There's a lot of different uses out there that and it was this film was actually developed by DuPont in the 1950s and was first used by NASA for their blankets and long-term food storage there. Alicia, it does help. There's a couple different things we can get. So Gil said, for our number 10 cans, when we open them, we seal a milli extra with O2. Okay. In one of the chest freezers. There you go. Yeah, if you wanted to use a food saver or a seal a meal type of thing, and putting in plastic in the freezer is a great thing. And Yeah. Hey, Connie, how are you? And Gil, if I didn't say hi before, hello. Um, so it increases these increase the shelf life of food by eliminating oxygen. They said think super powered aluminum foil in that way. Anyway, Mylar bags are actually impervious, which means they're not affected by oxygen, water, light, and they're perfect for long-term food storage. So, water, oxygen, vapor, which is like humidity, whatever's the moisture's in the air, and light, or also gases. Um, if you have, you know, if you want to be protected by, well, the nuclear blast is going to incinerate pretty much everything. I don't think Mylar is going to stand up to that, but anyway, so any type of gases and everything. You're cooking and pinky typing. Oh, that's a challenge. Hey, hi, Caitlin. How are you? Um, so yes, so they're very, very good. They have a high tensile strength, which means that they they're just very, very durable, and when you're storing them and stuff like that. However, they're not that durable when you're storing them in a freezer because at the temperatures food are frozen at, which is around zero, I think, Fahrenheit, the plastic and the aluminum get really brittle. And so moving them around in the freezer can actually crack them. And so then you're, it's compromised at that point. So you don't want to really use these in the freezer. It's not the best idea. If you're going to be putting things in the freezer, you would want to use like the plastic seal-a-meal bags or food saver bags, whatever, and then vacuum seal those to get the oxygen out of them. So yes, so it also helps to keep smells out too. Now people think that if I just take these and just throw them in a big open bin or something that the mice won't get to them or anything. Actually, they still can. I mean, they'll chew through this. If they smell any little bit of food that would have been on the outside of it, they can still chew through it. So the best thing to do is to take these and store them. Fill up your food, fill it with your food, and seal it up, store it, and then put it into a bucket. Now, there's lots of different buckets. There's 5-gallon round buckets. There's 10-gallon buckets. These are, this is a 2-gallon square bucket with a food grade lid. And so just for me, for my space and my storage ability, these work really great for me. And I put links below for the different ones. These I got from Uline. And so I can take my packages that I have sealed up and store them in here and then put the lid on and then easily stack these on shelves. I'd want to put a label out here to know what's in here, but anyway, I can stack them. So whatever you put your things in, you want to make sure they're a food grade bucket, food grade Mylar, food grade buckets, that type of thing. So, Connie, you're just doing okay. Can you reuse Mylar bags? Ooh, good question. I did not come across that. Let me see if there was anything in there. If it were for short-term things like, say you wanted to dehydrate some chili and you wanted to make some bags up for camping this summer. you might be able to reuse them if you'd only had like rice in them before, and it's like, okay, take them out, and those bags you'd want to use for very short term, like just a couple months. That'd be possible. I wouldn't use them again for a long term type of storage. So yeah, I don't remember what I paid for them. It's in that link that Dave put up. They aren't, your $3 Walmart bucket, that's for sure. But there again, at Walmart, you can get a bucket and a lid for like $5, a 5-gallon one that I think is food grade, and use it. It's like I said, those aren't just not conducive to my small space in the basement for storing things. So, but for other people, it could be great. It's also, if you wanted to use it for wheat or flour or different things like that, beans, rice, those would be better. So, your tiny grocery store has jalapenos in 10-pound cans. Ooh, that is a lot of peppers. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah. If Amazon has those, that's great too. That's excellent. All right, let me get back up here. So yes, they're impermeable to gas. They're flexible, easy to use, cheap, durable. Mylar bags. So compared to traditional tin or plastic storage cans, Mylar is significantly stronger, more flexible, and very portable. And just to remember that whenever you're storing anything, that's the air, light, and humidity are the 3 elements that spoil food the fastest. And that's why when you're canning, you want to get all that air out of there too. So these bags easily conform to the food or whatever materials you put into it, and then collapse it as you vacuum seal it. Now, putting any type of powdered things in here, like if I were just to load this with flour, I really can't vacuum seal that. So what I do is I will seal it. I will heat seal it, but I put in several oxygen absorbers, and then put lay it down, try to get as much air out of it as I can, and then just heat seal it. Because when you're using a vacuum sealer with any powder, it doesn't matter if it's flour or, cayenne pepper or whatever it is, it's going to take that powder and just suck it right into your machine. And heat sealer would be great. And you can certainly use that. So depending on the amount of food and the kind of food that you're storing will determine what size you use. So this is a 1-gallon bag. And then I have a smaller bag, which is says 1 gallon. So it's probably, I think it's about a 1.5 quart, maybe. You want to always leave enough space for sealing it and everything. Now this particular one, this is a little different than this one. These notches are on the sealed side, so which is great. So you can fill it up and then seal this bottom part, like a 1/2 inch in or something like that. I mean, you really want to go like 1 inch in when you're heat sealing it. And a lot of times I will even double seal it just to make sure that it's got a good seal. But, depending on how much you want to store in here. Use a coffee filter along the inside of the opening when vacuum sealing powders to keep the powder in the bag. Super. Genius. Okay. Gil, you'll have to do a demo on that sometime, because that can be a real frustration when you're trying to seal things. That would be great. So we've got these 2 bigger sizes. Now, if there's something that I'm doing that this is way too big for, and this is still a little bit too big for, I can actually cut this in half and then seal it on both sides, and then kind of custom make my own sizes. So that is kind of one advantage of getting some bigger ones. So if you're using, you want to custom size them, you get 2 for 1 really out of that. Then there's some other smaller ones. Here's a little one here. Let's see if I can see this here. The little one, and the nifty thing about this is that it is clear plastic on one side. So if I'm putting in here like a fourth of a cup of, I got these little ones for seasonings. So if I put in a fourth of a cup of Italian seasoning or something like that, or salt, and you're like, well, why would you only put a fourth of a cup in there? Well, when you're thinking long-term storage and everything, especially for seasonings, you don't want to put a year's worth of Italian seasoning in a big bag, because once you open it, you've just reduced the shelf life on that. Once you open it up, it has to get used within a certain amount of time. You could certainly take these, open it up, scoop out a half a cup or something, and then reseal it. But and then just kind of keep going down. But there again, you're already introducing some humidity into it. You're introducing oxygen back into here. So really, you just want to keep it sealed up until you're ready to use it. And so for me, just for what I would be using, I thought, well, getting these small ones would be so wonderful, because, if I'm just using needing a fourth of a cup for something, I can fill 2 dozen of these little ones and then just take it as I need it. And then I don't have to worry about getting into the rest of them. It's a little bit more work, but in the long run, when this is going to last me 20 years, I just want to make sure that I can do that. So I can go into the bucket, just grab one of these, bring this up and open it up, put it into, a mason jar or something, seal it up and have that. So, Morgan, hello. Good evening to you. Could you put yeast packets in those small ones? You probably could. I would do some research on it, Donna, to make sure that the yeast is going to be viable for that long. I've never thought of that. So that's a possibility to do that. So Morgan, that's so sweet of you to pop in here. I really appreciate that. So anyway, then this little itty bitty one can hold like a teaspoon of something. So, if there's a seasoning that I use very rarely, or it's really, you only need like 1/8 of a teaspoon at a time or something, I can do this little itty bitty one. And again, that's got, it's got the clear front to it. So again, just seal them up. You can use, like I said, the sealing part of a vacuum sealer. You can use a hair straightening iron. Hey, Patty. Hello. How are you doing? Yes, you can use a hair straightening iron. You can use, they actually will have like heat sealers that you can get that will just seal, that they won't vacuum seal. And those are, very reasonably priced if that's all that you want to do, if you don't want to do anything else with that. So, so again, these are extremely good. So now what you want to do when you're sealing something up is to put an oxygen absorber in here. Sometimes I will throw a moisture absorber too, but generally when you're going to be storing things long-term in a Mylar bag, you want it to already be dry, whether you've dehydrated it or you're buying like beans, rice, all that kind of stuff. So, so anyway, to put that in there. And so then they have, I've got different sizes here of oxygen absorbers. So they've got some that are a little smaller here. These are they got 50 units. And so I would put one of these small ones into one of my little small bags, because the size of the absorber has a direct correlation to how much oxygen it needs to suck out in the bag. So if you're using, a 1 gallon bag, you want to definitely use these. Now these are 300 cc oxygen absorbers, and you can see this is still sealed from when I got it, and you can see how it has just taken it and compact. I mean, it's hard. As soon as I open this up, I'm letting the oxygen in, and so when I open this up to use one or two, I then will take them and put them into a jar like this. And so when I want to use one, I will take this out and then seal it right back up again. And these jars will then take out all the other oxygen in there. They have like color indicators on them, and they'll tell you like which one it is. And it's like, so, if it's still working, it'll be a certain color, and all that kind of stuff. So Alicia, that means that Morgan at Goldshot Farm is over 100,000 subs, right? I'm pretty sure. I mean, Morgan is just like, what are you at? You've got to be like 600,000 or 700,000 or something, I think, at this point. He's grown so fast. I mean, seriously, I started watching you, Morgan, when you were at about 8,000. You were about 8,000 subs, and it was like, you were just starting your farm, and you have a few. Oh, yes. And so, they used to show it as like a gray block over their name, but apparently now they're doing just a check mark. Unless that's just because you're a mod too. I don't know. But did you know that you are a moderator on my channel? Yes, you are. So where was I? Okay, oxygen absorbers. So they have 300 cc's. They also, I think, go up to 500 cc's for bigger items. So now if you wanted to store wheat berries, which is better than storing actually ground flour, but if you wanted to store wheat berries in a 5-gallon bucket, what you would want to do is get at least a 5-gallon Mylar bag, and they do make them that big. I mean, they make them huge, and then put it inside your bucket and start filling it with berries, and then every once in a while throw in a 500 or either 300 or 500 cc oxygen absorber. And I would, for a 5-gallon bucket, I would put at least 8 or 10 of them in there, I think. So it is crazy how time flies. Absolutely. It is. So anyway, yeah, so you want to get a big one. And so now, because you've got it full and you've got a 5-gallon bucket, and that's got some weight to it, and you're filling it with oxygen absorbers, it's like, how do you seal it? How do you get that into your heat sealer? Well, that's where like a hair straightening iron really, really comes into help there. So that, because it's just handheld, and you can go down to the bag right in the bucket and just seal it up as you go. And so the thing is just to make sure that it's sealed really well and that you get the oxygen absorbers in there. Now, these are moisture absorbers, which are different than oxygen absorbers. A moisture absorber is also called a desiccant, a pack of silica gel, desiccant type of thing. And so these are the things that you find like in your shoes when you buy them, or they're tucked into other things. But so anyway, have a bag of these on Amazon. You can get those too. And so those are very helpful when you're putting them into bags or jars or something like that, and you're sealing up some food. It just, when you have a more humid area, and our summers are humid, you just want to make sure that that you're taking care of the food that you have worked hard to grow and preserve and everything else. So, all right. So we've got all these different sizes of Mylar bags, and the thing that you want to do before you start filling it is to write on them, and just use a permanent marker and just write on the front what it is. Just say, rice or white rice. You want to be a little more specific. Excuse me. Like long grain white rice. And then like how much is in there. You might want to say 4 cups or something like that, and put the date on there that you put it in there. So just write directly on here, and so that you know what you've got. And so in doing all of these little seasoning ones and everything, it makes it really easy for me to put it into these square buckets, and then I could just throw a lot in there. Now there are some foods that aren't good for storing, things that you should never put into a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber. Excuse me. A drink of water here. Connie, really? Oh, that's so fun. Yeah, time flies. So brown rice. Never store brown rice in a Mylar bag. Even don't think of it as a long-term food storage, even in jars or anything, or in other plastic bags, because it has a high oil content, and that makes it have a short shelf life. The high oil content can make it go rancid so much more quickly. Other foods that are high in moisture or oil content are like raisins, nuts, granola, chocolate chips, cookies, crackers. And so those are not really good. Crackers, I put crackers and like Oreos and stuff in like a half-gallon jar and vacuum sealed that. And that has worked great. A year later, they're still nice and crispy and fresh. So, just you have to figure out what you're putting in and how long you're going to store it. I could not put crackers in a jar like that and expect to store it for 15 years. That's a little bit not good. So, all right, Gil, thanks so much for coming. Yeah, if you want to find out more about insects, check out Gil in about 10 minutes here. So, and again, whole grains store a lot longer than anything that's been ground up. For instance, the wheat berries will store 30 years or more. 30 years. So if you need a gallon or 5 gallons worth of wheat berries, and you seal them up in your Mylar bag, and you put it in a food grade bucket and shove it into a corner of wherever, basement or garage or something like that, 30 years from now, you can still take it out and use it. So, yep. Hardtack. Yeah, I think you could, there's some, is it hardtack, or there's something else that lasts like forever, like 200 years or something. Oh, thanks, Debbie. I appreciate that. So again, these are different size oxygen absorbers. They're not that expensive. I think you get, how many do I have in here? 50. Oh, these are 100 cc's, and there are 50 of them in here. So these are 300 cc's. I can't tell what the quantity is. It's all blurred out. But anyway, just do research to figure out what it is you need, and the prices and different things like that. Again, I just seal up ones that I've already opened the containers for, and I can have this ready so that when I'm vacuum sealing something, I can just quick throw it in there. So, alrighty, what else do I have here? Discants. Do I have everything else? These, the little ones come in packs like this. So you get, there's 200 pieces. This is a little bit bigger one. There's 200 in there too. So, it can go a long way. I mean, I bought these 3 or 4 years ago. I still have so many. So it's like almost, it's almost like a one-time purchase, and it's going to last you for a long time. So, you saw a channel with multiple buckets of wheat berries, but several members of the family have issues with gluten. Oh, yeah, that is different. I know that there is if you get a heritage wheat, something that was grown, and there's actually a company north of Minneapolis that does this, but it was grown, it's seed from what they grew back in the 50s before they started modifying and doing funny things to all of our crops. So if they grow this organic heritage wheat, is actually supposed to be things that people who are gluten-free, gluten intolerant, even some celiacs can eat it. And so, they sell the berries as well as the ground flour and everything. So that might be something, if you have that and you want some storage, it might be something to think about in getting that kind of thing, So again, you should only package shelf-stable foods that are low in oil and moisture. Ideally, long-term storage foods should have a moisture content of 10% or less. Hey, Glenn, how are you doing? Good evening to you. What flavorings are you? Michigan Daffodil, are you? Oh, you're asking Debbie. Okay, never mind. Cornbread. Oh, there you go. So I have stored all kinds of things. Like I said, I originally got these for making sure that I had a good supply of seasonings stored up long term. I keep a certain amount in my jars that I'm using for cooking. And as I get new containers and everything, they're either in a plastic container or whatever, and I transfer them. But I wanted something that would be long term because, as we've talked before, when if you get down to the point where you have to have just plain food, it's like you need the seasonings. Otherwise, the food fatigue is like huge, just huge. And so, storing all kinds of the seasonings that I like and that I use, whether it's, and somebody else with their palate would store something completely different, but if you use a lot of cumin, or if you use a lot of, pepper or whatever it is, you want to be able to store what it is that you want to have. And like I said, I like to have them in the smaller amount so that I can just take that and use that without compromising the whole bag of whatever I've stored. So, all right. A couple, they said disadvantages is that, yes, they are not rodent proof. And that's, again, why you put them inside another bucket. You do need to handle them carefully. Like a number 10 can, these cans will last 20 to 25 years. Mylar bag is a little bit shorter than that. I'm talking probably 15 to 20 years, something like that. So, but because they don't stack well, that's another reason you want them in a bucket. So that you can put them all in there and just label everything. Label it, label it, label it. let me see. I think that was all the notes I had in here. Dehydrated fruits and vegetables are great. And make sure that everything's completely dry, that they should snap and not bend. Again, storing moist foods in low oxygen environment may result in botulism. So you don't want to risk that. Just make sure everything is like so completely dry. Alrighty, that's it for that. You guys have been so great. Michigan Daffodil. It is Sunrise Flour Mills. So it's Sunrise Flour Mills in Minnesota. I don't remember the town, but it's somewhere around Minneapolis. And I mean, it's pricey, but it's also worth it if you like I said, if you get the wheat berries and you want to grind your own as you go, and there you go. There you go. So that's another thing too, that if you are getting like a bucket of wheat, that you plan on that 5 gallons lasting you 2 years or something. It's like you want to open that up and keep dipping into it, or do 5 1-gallon bags in that bucket, and then just take a gallon out at a time, so you're not compromising everything else that you had in there. So, did I get behind here? So, your husband hears very little things. He'll have to learn to eat some things. Oh, yeah, I hear you. All right. So my prep tip for tonight is to assess your jar and lid supply and start getting them now before everyone's buying them at canning time. So again, 4 jars. This new company, they're great. Very, very good. And they even send a follow-up email, and they go, just want to thank you so much for buying from us. And so we just, how do you like the jars, and how are the, it's like, or the lids? And I said, I haven't used them yet. I said, but I am going to talk about them on my live. So they were like, oh, that's so nice. So they're very, very personable. They are, very helpful, and their prices are reasonable, and they, I'm just really happy with them. They're going to be great. So if you guys need lids, go on over to 4 jars. So tuna fish in your house. There you go. Yep, Curie. Yep, only store the food that you like. Absolutely. So, so again, Mylar Bags. And do your research for, prices and everything, but make sure you get good quality. Get a higher mill bag. There's different thicknesses to it. Just make sure it's a little thicker one. It's going to last longer. It's going to preserve your food so much better, and that's really what you want. If it's a difference of a couple dollars for the thickness of the mill, then it's worth it to spend that extra couple dollars. So anyway, onions are doing great. You guys just have a great week. Thanks so much for coming. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, Sean wasn't here. Sean in Alaska, so I think it's because he's probably working on his house. He's got all this daylight now, and your husband won't eat fish, onions, veggies, potatoes, and corn. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're right, Q. It doesn't leave a whole lot, does it? So, all right, you guys. Well, thanks for coming tonight. I really, really appreciate you. And thanks for all your support on my channel. And I hope I gave you something to think about tonight. Just a little bit more information on how you can store your preserved foods and everything, and a few more supplies that you could use. And we just think canners and jars, and there's other things out there that can help us. So anyway, Thank you, Patty. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Well, all right, you guys, take care. God bless. Always have hope. And we'll see you next week. Good night.